Good evening once again to everybody. This is Esther Mushiri from eMentoring Africa. Very, very excited to have you at the Mentors Parlour today with our fantastic two mentors, Wafula Nabutola and Rachel Mukuhe, who will be taking us through another exciting session as indicated in what we are projecting today. It's always nice to have you in this space. This is a recorded session, and we shall be sharing with you once we are able to edit the audio version. And we will be uploading it on our YouTube channel so that it's easier for you to listen and to share with your networks. So for now, it's my pleasure to invite our two mentors to go ahead and speak to us about what they have prepared as I go on inviting more people into the parlor and keeping the session going. Karibu sana Rachel and Nabutola.
Thank you much, Rachel. Hi.
Thank you, Esther. So,
go, please.
hi, Nabu. Yes, hi everybody. So let me start.
Kindly.
Yes, Nabutola is always telling me ladies first, and so here
That's
I am.
The law.
Thank you so much for coming. My name is Rachel. Yes, thank you very much all for coming. So my name is Rachel Macharia, and what am I? I am married. I have 3 children, all teenagers, officially. Very interesting phase of my life now. And I'm big on parenting. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Proactive Research Consultants. I'm an educator, I'm a mentor, and I'm a demographer by profession. However, my passion is around helping people and organizations to visualize and to realize their results. So, so today, I'm very also, so I have quite a bit of passion around, setting goals and visioning where we are going. So in today's session, I want to talk about, and this is a series, this is a continuation for a series of discussions we've been having. When we began earlier on, we did something on self-awareness. This is for the sake of those who were not in the parlor then. We worked on areas around self-awareness, and then we talked about habits, right? And we talked around, I talked around the habits of highly effective persons. Remember, we are all here, everybody, we with a clear purpose, some of us with a clear purpose, some of us still trying to figure out our purpose. But what we want to do is that whatever we do it effectively. So last week, I went through the habits. So there are these 7 habits. My discussion is based around Stephen Covey's habits, and also Sean, his son, and also around a book by Johnson Spencer called Peaks and Valleys, and also just my life experience with having people as we do this, as we build organizations, as I work along with people, some of the things we have encountered, in project management, in project design. So, but I like the way Covey puts it across. So my presentation is adopted towards, his way of seeing it. And last week we talked about, there are 7 of them. Last week we talked about to be proactive. Yes, we talked about to be proactive, and we said being proactive is when you have an option of being proactive or reactive to whatever situation, whatever is stimulating, whatever stimulus is there. You have a freedom of choice. You can either react or be proactive. And we also talked about there being 4 unique human gifts. Every human being has self-awareness, has a conscience, has the ability to imagine, and has a willpower, right? So now, and the more aware we are of these human gifts, then the more the more we can be more effective as human beings, we can be more proactive. And when we say we are proactive, it means that we are able to increase, we talked around the circles of influence. Yeah, so, and the idea is the more proactive you are, then the more influential and then the more freedom and power you have around of things within your control. So it's more having control, you know, taking charge of the things you have control over. So that's what we talked about last week. So this week we are going on to habit number 2. And habit number 2, and even before I go to the habit itself, I wanted to say that what is a habit? So here we are right now, and I like the way Jim Rohn, he says, motivation is what gets you started, right? Habit is what keeps you going. So for example, we have made it a habit, some of us, you know, like we meet here every 3 times or 4 times a week in the parlor. And so it's become, you know, it's a routine, it's become our way of life. We even look forward to it, and we meet and we learn. Yeah, so we get motivated. You know, I will listen to yesterday, we had SK and Maggie, and, you know, they were talking about facing the giants, and there's a lot of insightful information coming in from there. And so that's really motivating, you know. So that's what gets me, you know, so motivation is what gets us started, but habit is what keeps. So I guess the things we're saying here, if we begin to do them, then that's what we become. Yeah, so Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Yeah, so for us to excel, it is not a one-off something. It has to be a habit. So when we listen to the success stories of, you know, the likes of successful people we know, it's things they did over and over again. They fell, they stood up, they did it, right? So now we've seen the one, and we've talked about the first habit. We've talked about being proactive. Being proactive is knowing what you have within you, that unique something which is in you. Today, we're going to talk about beginning with the end in mind, right? So now already, it's at the point where what I want. Okay, I know what my are. So what next? So for us to be effective, we need to begin, as we start whatever journey we are starting, we need to begin with the end in mind. Yeah. So and how do we do that? One thing we need to do, 2 things we're going to discuss today, and I want to keep it I'll keep it quite short, give the pointers so that we can also get an opportunity to listen to Professor Nabutola take us through networking, right? But now what we're talking about is just, you know, making these things our lifestyle. If it's networking, then have you made it a way of life? So anyway, so let's go to the how to. So for us to begin with the end in mind, there are 2 things. One is to make a mission statement. What this means is that we need to define our destination. Yeah, when you begin with the end in mind, you know where you're going. It's just like an aeroplane. You know, an aeroplane won't just leave wherever, not knowing where it's going, right? There's a way it has to know this is my flight plan and I have a destination. Similarly, here we are on planet Earth. You know, God has given us so many years. We have no idea how many. But when we are here, we want to, you know, there are things we want to do when we're here. So, you know, that this habit about beginning with the end in mind is whatever we do, then we need to see what is it we want to be remembered for. You know, like for example, let's even look at it in terms of, you know, by the time we're dying, all of us are going to die. We don't know when, but it's going to happen at some point. So what is it we want to have left behind? So at this point in time, we need to figure out, you know, figure out what it is we want to do. Yeah, like for example, you might even just say, I think is it Will Smith? He says, I want the world to be a better place because I was here. You know, that's his mission statement, you know. So it's like knowing, you know, I am going away, and for the time I'm here, this is what I'd want to be remembered for. And so that is it. As you know, here we are, the here and the now. Let's think about, let us have the end in mind. Yeah, let's think about it. So we are there, rest in peace. You know, you might even look at it the way, you know, like a eulogy. What kind of things would people be saying, you know, about me? So in this case, because remember, we said when you're proactive, it's not people who define you. So it is at this point in time to say, all right, when I'm here, these are the things I would want to do. And this is around thinking about my purpose and my values. Yeah. So, and then writing them down. So when we talk about a personal statement, it is something that you write and you keep it at the forefront of your mind. And whenever you make a decision, see if it's in line with your mission. Say, for example, I could have my statement like, you know, I'm looking at the one I've written. Let's say, for example, one of the things I've said that I do is around helping people realize, visualize their end results. So visualize the journey and the end result, right? So then that's what you know, that is what is the end in mind for me. You know, I want that for whoever I'm gonna walk, whoever passes my journey of life, I will be able to impact them in the way that I have helped them realize what they have within them that perhaps they hadn't had a chance of reflecting and seeing. Say, for example, if it's an organization, let's say like the government, the government, for example, or the county governments, you know, we will have a plan of what it is we want to do. You know, they have 5-year strategic plans, or any company, maybe you have a strategic plan and they're the things you want to do. Yeah, but at the end of it, there is that impact you want to make. You know, let's say like the Vision 2030. Let's pick on one of those bigger documents. There are certain health goals. Yeah, there are different goals towards meeting that vision, and that vision is also the, you know, it's a mission statement of the organization. So similarly, and I know in the organizations we have that. Now, the thing is, we need to make that our own, and in different areas of our life. And if it's not clear, you know, sometimes we're not clear on what our purpose is. You know, sometimes you ask, oh, what is your purpose? Oh, I don't know, maybe. And one of the things to do, if you're not clear on the purpose, then it's thinking around it. How do I want to be remembered? Yeah, why do you want to be remembered for that? And what can you offer life, right? What is it you're good at? So purpose takes us back to what it is we are good at. Remember, I think we talked around, and this ends around our gifts. It's something within us. Remember, when we're talking about all these things, we're talking about what we have control over. And what we have control over is my purpose and my values. So some of the questions which I want you to think through, if you can jot them down very quickly, or just think through as I ask them. These are questions which help you in discovering your purpose or your mission. Let's say your mission statement, because we've said we want to talk around our mission statement. So for example, you can start, for you to start knowing, and this is for maybe somebody who is wondering, what's my purpose? You know, here I am. Life seems to be taking me this way and the other way. So really, why am I here? And there are different ways of looking at it. So I'm going to give you some questions to think around. Then you'll be able to start knowing, this is my purpose, these are my values. It will just give you an idea. So for example, you can think of a person who made a positive difference in your life. What qualities does that person have that you'd like to develop, right? So for example, and feel free to jot that. I hope on the chat somebody's writing those, you know, I mean, it is jotting what you think. Think of a person who made a positive difference in your life, and what qualities that person what qualities that person had that you would like to develop. So perhaps you could just type in some quality that you'd like to develop. The other thing is, imagine 20 years from now, right? 20 years from now would be 2050. Wow, it sounds so far away. You are surrounded by the most important people in your life. Who are they and what are you doing, right? So imagine 20 years from now. 20 years from now, perhaps I would be maybe Prof's age, I'm not sure. But 20 years from now, I would want, you know, who are the important people in my life? I'm imagining I would be older then, perhaps I'd be in, is it my 60s or 70s? I'm not sure. But I want to be surrounded. You're surrounded by the most important people in my life. And who are they and what are they doing? So you see, it's talking to who am I hanging out with? What are my values? Because like for me, for sure, when I just think about those 20 years, you know, I'm just thinking my family, my grandkids, you know, my friends, some of you in this network, you know, and I'll be looking back like, yes, I remember that, you know, that discussion we had. And then also things around, so that's another question to think around. Remember, you're trying to find your purpose. You're trying to find what are the things what makes you tick? What are your passions? Then there's also a question around, if a steel beam was placed across two skyscrapers, for what would you be willing to cross? You know, so you have two buildings and there's a steel beam, and you need to go across. But for what? Would you go for, if there's like $1,000 there, you know? Would you go? Or maybe your pet, maybe your you know, the dog is there, or the cat, whatever pet, or your brother, or for fame, you know, you can make history, you know, like be in the Guinness Book of Records. So you think carefully around those things, you know, really, honestly, what is it that would make you go on that beam? Then also think around things like, you know, things you love to do. And it could be anything, you know, right from dancing, rapping, spoken word, daydreaming, eating ethnic foods, anything that you absolutely like to do. Yeah, so these things I'm telling you, the idea is as we write them, as you just write these things, they help you start to write your mission statement. They help you to know yourself better and to be able to write. And then there's a part around of, you know, where will you be 5 years from now? Supposing you were interviewed 5 years from now, and they want to interview 3 people you are close to. Who are they, and what would you want to say to them? You know, so you're being interviewed and you're told, oh, pick 3 people to come and be interviewed together with you. You know, who would they be? Yeah. And I guess this is also still talking around, we're going to talk about networking. I guess this may be touching on some of, you know, the principles of who do you network with, you know, if, you know, networking for life, so the how to. So this is just giving a basis around that. Also, there are things, think of something that represents you. You know, when you think of even nature, is it a flower, a song, an animal? You know, what does it represent? You know, why does it represent you? How do you see yourself? And then also things, everyone has one or more talents, all of us. Remember, if we go back to those gifts, we have talents. So which ones are we good at? You know, there are things, writing, you know, speaking, writing, dancing, listening, all these things, humor, making things happen, sensing needs. There's so many things, you know, talents we have in ourselves. So the idea of those questions is just to help you brainstorm around your mission statement, around knowing, you know, your purpose, knowing, you know, how can you be, you know, how do you, what is your purpose, so that you can be, for example, my purpose, I like to say it's to be the best I can be and to help make a positive change in my world. And my world at any given time could be my family, my workplace, and, you know, it's around mindset change and and then so that's around how to write your purpose. So I hope from this discussion we shall have people maybe able to write their purpose. Maybe we can hear some some ideas or thoughts around that. Then the other thing I said I would talk about will be now about goal setting. So already you have your purpose. So your purpose is like a broad statement, your vision, or some call it vision, some call it mission, purpose, some break it down, some put it together. But then so you have your big purpose of the big thing you want to do. But you see, like when I say I just want to make a positive change in my world, that can be so big. Now I need to break it into sizable bits. And now that's what are the goals. So remember, in goals, we'll have our, we have goal setting, and you have, how I look at my goals is that, I divide them according to, maybe put them in different areas of my life. Like I could have sometimes, basically, sometimes I just want to look at the 4-way, I could look at physically, intellectually, spiritually, socially, emotionally, sorry about that. And, and divide those there around that. So, and goal setting, when we're doing the goal setting, there is 4 things to think around. One thing, before we set the goal, we need to count the cost, right? Counting the cost is, you want to set a goal that is quite realistic. First, you want to know what is the truth of the situation. So yes, you're making reality your friend. This is the way things are. So this is the goal I'm going to set on it. So that again, it's not, it's not to remember your purpose and your mission statement. Those ones is, dream as high as you can. When you come to your goal setting, then you become a bit more realistic. This is where you research. I think we had #talk around research earlier in the week. So you need to research and make sure, okay, this is what I'm saying. What is the cost? I need to count the cost of the goal I'm making such that it's a realistic one. And it's around, being smart. It needs to be smart, a smart goal. Then the other important thing is write it out. Yeah, when you don't write out, and the same thing for the mission statement, then it's just a wish. So these are habits we need to create. For example, writing it out, there is, when you write it out, I said it's not a wish. It then becomes something you're looking out to. Then number 3 is just do it. Whatever it is you have said, do it. So those who are committed always find a way. Sticking to it when you don't feel like, that is a true test of character. Yeah, and this one reminds me of, I struggle with my physical goals, like in this weather, waking up to exercise, I have to, the snooze button might go off and I want to sleep a little bit more, but I have to encourage myself, just do it. And I'd say that, self-talk, just do it, get out and just do it. So, and it's not easy sometimes. And I hope there are people who can identify with that. Then the other thing is around, the 4th item is use momentous moments. By the way, am I talking to myself? I've gone on. You can't start video. Okay. Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. We are here.
Yeah. Oh, super. All right. So yes, I will say around the momentous moments, right? Certain circumstances in life contain momentum and power. So those are good times to make goals. Like right now, often tough experiences harness momentum. Right now we are going through such a time that it's not easy. And, you feel like at the end of the road in certain circumstances. But the thing is, remembering that at moments like this is when there's innovation. And we've seen that, from the discussions we're having here. So I guess it's to say, it's a habit. Right now, the environment is not even conducive for habits because everything is just high up in the air. But the thing is that we must continue to make it a habit. And I'm hoping to hear, as Nabutola shares with us around networking, I'm hoping that then we make it, whatever it is we're going to learn, then it will be a habit. So the fifth one, so I was talking about momentous moments. Yeah, there are those moments when you stick to them, even when you don't feel like it, it's a true test of character. Like it's taking a lot of effort now to do what everybody's doing. And this could be it. It could be that moment, that moment, that breakthrough you've been waiting for. This is a good time. Tough times bring out really, really awesome things. Then the fifth one, the fifth aspect around goal setting is rope up. Rope up means that you accomplish more in life when you borrow energy from others, synergize, get other people who are, first thing is, work on your core competencies, but also synergize. Like, in this forum, in the Mentors Forum, there's so much I am learning from just having different people. I come to share what I know, but I end up, learning a lot more. So that is just, it's roping up, and I'm learning so much from the team, the six of us, we hadn't met before. We've started something and, we have a common, our mission is kind of common, but we're all from such different areas and different walks of life. So, so today I think I just wanted to share that part of the habit we are talking about. To be effective, to be more effective, have the end in mind. Where are you going? What is the end in mind for you? What is your destination? And when you know your destination, what are the things you want to do, right? So at this point, so mine was like it's called what's that thing they do before the actual performance? That one. So at this point, I want to invite,
The
and
curtain
there's a
raiser.
question of
Curtain raiser.
Raiser,
thank
yes.
you. Yeah. This is a curtain raiser, so that now we get to networking, and hopefully we can, as we do this networking, we have our end in mind. We know where we're going with it. We're just not here for the sake of being here. We have our end in mind, and we are going to write our statements, yeah? And then we're also going to set up the goal setting. So thank you very much. Yes, if there are any questions, I don't know if this would be the time or you'd want to do it later. Maybe we can get guidance from Esther.
We can take some questions or some sharing. It would be great for people to react to the issue of habits, because some of us have formed habits that are not so good. For example, oversleeping, procrastination, keeping things disorganized for a while. You can see something is really disturbing your eye, but every morning you look at it and you say, in a few hours, I'll come back and I'll sort you out, and you don't. And as I say that, I'm actually speaking to myself, because right in front of me are papers that I'm supposed to file that I have been looking at for, I don't know, actually, I can't remember how long these papers have been sitting on my desk. So I know I need to create that habit of saying something and doing it. And I'm having a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So what you just said, Rachel, it's, the way you prick somebody with reality. That's exactly what you've done to me today. And I am hoping I will learn to do things as I think them before I pack them somewhere and I forget. So maybe we can get a few other people share on what is that habit that you think from today, hopefully, you will do what Rachel has just said, meaning just do it before you procrastinate and keep a bad habit. Maybe let's get a few reactions. And, you know, in this space, we are never perfect. I mean, the reason we come at the parlor is to be real, because one of the things we believe in is be real and let's help each other. So even as we talk about networking, and I'm sure this is what Nabutola will be speaking about, it's about getting value out of the other person. So for me, for example, I'd like to get some help from somebody. What do I do about my papers that are sitting right here? Has anybody had a problem like that, and how did you handle it?
We all find your inherent story a little strange. Well, hi guys, my name is Kelly. I think I'll just say just do it, and it's been a problem, especially also with myself, especially during this period that we're all home, and most of the time we don't have like a schedule, and you find yourself maybe investing too much time in whatever does not matter, and sometimes when you have to get things done, you actually feel lazy to even start them. So I think I've been challenged, like just doing it and just sticking to it even when you don't want to do it. Like that's just a true test of character. I think for me that has really stood out, and I'll just be doing it, you know. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and perhaps even the other thing you could do is counting the cost. You can break it down, you know, like Esther, what you're saying, you have a whole pile of papers. Something to do also is you don't have to, you know, the pressure of just saying like, oh my gosh, that pile is so huge. Sometimes it can be so overwhelming. So sometimes it's to break it down and say, you know what, I'm just going to put them in stacks, you know, and say today, just this small stack, you know, then you kind of, it helps you then to start to be resilient. Then also writing down, you know, when you're writing your day's priorities, it helps when you write it out. But you're right, these are struggles. I mean, you know, it is work in progress, but it's so nice when you find a way to be able to do it. Like I found I also had a pile of things I needed to unpack. You know, it's been a long time since we moved house, but there were still some things in boxes. So you know, and this is really, the excuse has been no time. So now this has been time galore, you know. So
Granted by God.
yes. So, you know, I had to really like, you know, get people to facilitate, like, you know, just move that box there, let's put that there. Then now, you know, even the day for removing was one day because it was so hard. But once I started, then you kind of get uncluttered, because it's as if you're also, you know, it's showing something there's some clutter just even inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the process, it's break it into bit sizes, just break it down so that then it's manageable bites.
Okay, thank you for that advice. And there is another question from Kerry Macharia, and he's asking, how do we break this African time habit that has been passed on generation to another generation?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, now that's,
you know,
oh, that is something which accountability partners, you remember, I think we talked about, where did we have accountability partners? It was
they said it actually, I remember
Pamela taught us about that.
Yes,
and
yes.
For me, for time, it has been accountability partners or getting into programs that are very no nonsense with time. I used to do very badly with time, but I got into a Bible study that is very, it's either you're there, and if you're not there, that's too bad, you know? And it kind of felt, you know, initially I used to think, why would I go to a Bible study that they don't, you know, they're having all these limitations. But then I found it helped me change my time management. So I think accountability, you know, just starting when it's time to start, just start it. But I don't know, what do the others think? Because I think, yes, time is African timers, indeed. We are, and I think even in this group, we demonstrate it a little bit.
Maybe Joyce, who has her hand up, would like to say something about African time. She's in Germany, and I'm sure Germans don't joke with Maybe
Yeah.
at your point, you can also talk about the African time mentality.
Okay. Thanks for giving me the floor. I just want to go back to Esther, the issue what you just said about your problem of procrastination, putting things aside and just putting them away for a rainy day and just thinking, okay, not really a rainy day, but basically just thinking I'll get to that later and never get into it.
Yeah.
So just a few weeks ago, I had a very interesting conversation on the same topic with someone who, Esther, you and I know. And this topic came up about procrastination and putting things aside and just not wanting to face it. And one thing I got out of that conversation was sometimes when we procrastinate, we're also trying to, what can I say? We tend to create excuses for everything that we don't feel ready to take by the horns and just get on with it. So what this person was telling me is that what you do, like when you start your day, put all the difficult tasks as your first priority. Because a lot of times what we do is we go along and start doing the easy things that you feel like you can pat yourself on the back and say, okay, wow, I did this today. But you started with the easy stuff, which you want to reward yourself for something that is so easy, and you don't want to face the big stuff. So put whatever you need to, it has been bugging you, and you have a difficulty trying to get through this task or whatever it is. If it's a book you're trying to read and you want to get through it, or if it's cleaning up or clearing up boxes, and just set aside like a morning, your calendar is probably free, and you put that as a first thing. And instead of planning, okay, the easy thing I'll do is maybe go shopping or, do the easy stuff or catch up on the easy stuff, but deal with the difficult stuff first. So, and that way, you really have to also give yourself like a goal and say, okay, by this, give yourself some timeline. So by this period, I have to have dealt with this issue. And really focus on just trying to put it as the first thing. Even if you don't manage to finish it, you'll get such a sense of achievement, just knowing that you tackled it. And it'll give you the motivation to move forward. And I think, Rachel, you said that when you start decluttering or trying to clear up, you feel as it kind of declutters your mind as well. This is something that's bothering your mind. So it's also stuck in your mind that you have this thing, but once you get through with it, then it kind of frees you up and you feel a kind of relief, like, okay, now I have time to focus on other things and I don't have that bug in me in the back of my mind. So I think, yeah, so
that, and I shall do and probably report to this parlor in a few days if I succeed to get rid of this irritating pile of paper.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yes. Yeah.
On the topic of time management, okay, that's something that I really struggled with when I can't say I struggled so much with it, because already I think I also had this kind of feeling that I managed my time well. I was always conscious about like getting late for appointments or anything, and sometimes I find that that's maybe when I think of some things that are bother me a lot. Time management is one of the things. Like if I'm meeting someone and they're late, or even when I'm late because of whatever reason, it really bothers me so much. And living here, managing time is, or being late is no excuse for something, because Germans are so focused on time and appointments, and you can imagine you have to make appointments for everything. So if you're late for your appointment, no one will be looking at you as you walk in, strolling, you'll almost be walking with your head down because you're so ashamed. So it's just a habit that you have to start with yourself and really be whoever, like if you're around the people you're around with, let them know that you don't tolerate it, because when you tolerate it, then you're enabling others, and then you feel relaxed. So if you're meeting someone in a restaurant or something, and they tell you, I'm right around the corner, and that time maybe they're on Gong Road or something, and you're in town, and you're sitting there, I mean, it's really inconsiderate of the person. And if the person walks in and you handle it like it's okay, I'm sorry, but it might sound hard, but you have to tell the person. So next time the person will also be conscious and know in the back of their mind that this is not, time is something that needs to be in top priority when meeting with people or whatever. And it kind of like, rubs on to people around you. And somehow it will end up being a habit that people around you will also pass on to others. So I know it's difficult back at home because we have all sorts of hindrances like traffic jams and all sorts of things we cannot control. But we also make excuses for ourselves, because if you plan to meet someone early, like 8 o'clock, and you're living at the house at 7:30, and you know you need to take around 1 hour to get to wherever you are, and you know that the person will understand because you just tell them it's traffic, then already it's a habit that we ourselves create for ourselves. For ourselves, and that way it's difficult to change, because you just it's seen as it's normal. There's always an excuse. So yeah. So yeah, I think that's something that I can contribute for now. I don't know what your thoughts are, especially in being very blunt about
things
those who don't do time management.
Exactly. I think that's something we need to learn, to say the truth, even if it will not come out so well, but it is the truth, and it will hurt kidogo, but after a while, I think someone will understand. Wafula Nabutola, what do you think? Maybe as you take on your topic of networking, maybe you can talk about what kind of habits irritate people as we network.
One of them is just lateness. And the other is, I was going to talk about that, but it's like, one is lateness. The other one is especially networking, where you who's networking and remembering that you only have one mouth and two ears, okay, and you're speaking at the reverse ratio, where you're speaking at more than you're listening to the other person, the networking becomes counterproductive. But also it's a mark of respect. Really, really, one needs to self-respect first and then respect the other people. If you're going to have a meeting and you've agreed for 13:45, like I had a board meeting today, by 13:45, we were all seated and the board papers were ready. And that's how it should be. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy because there are so many other things impeding that kind of movement. But I'll talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
When my curtain raiser, now I'm the one who's going with the curtain raiser.
It's your time now. We are on the floor, and Karibu Sana, and we can't wait to have you. I would say that we have what? I don't know how long you have. Maybe we can do 25 minutes.
Well,
what people have to say.
I had planned for longer than this, but I'll squeeze it within the time, so it's okay, no problem. Yeah, about networking. I mean, as it is, we are networking. You know, somebody from Germany, somebody from Migori, somebody from wherever. And this is just an opportunity to get to know each other better, isn't it? After all, what's networking? Anybody? You know, I teach, so I like people to understand, for me to understand what they understand by networking. What is it? Is it a fish? Anybody? Hash, what's networking? This is a bad teacher. I pick on the students I don't like. Hash. Hash, your hand was up. What's networking? Okay, your turn is gone. Any other volunteers? Nelly Munala, before you go, what's networking? What do you understand by networking?
It's more working together.
Yes.
Interfacing.
Yes.
Yeah, those are two that I can think of right now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any other volunteer?
Okay, Prof, I can try.
Yes,
it
Maggie.
is just getting to increase your people, people that you know, getting to meet other people, and I love it.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. All those answers are correct. You know, it's just getting to meet other people who you didn't know before, and who you then purpose to get to know better, and then you can do business. Really, yeah. But Esther had prepared some slides, and I would like to quickly go through them. But I would also like to welcome anybody else who has something to say. Nelly has remembered something else. No?
I think if I could just add.
Yes, please.
Networking is creating relations, probably, if I could say it as so.
Okay.
Beneficial relations that will help you.
Okay. So we'll look at it primarily for business, isn't it? It could help. It also, you know, it's actually a two-way traffic thing. So with those few remarks, Esther would like to share a few slides, and then we can continue discussing. Is that okay?
Go ahead, please. You have been enabled.
Oh, you're very kind. Okay. This is a slide which obviously you already know about, so we'll skip that. But there it is, a habit, networking for life. They go together somehow. And our princess has already done the bit, so I'll just share with you my game plan quickly, introduction, which you've already done. What are your expectations? The one thing I'll promise you is that there's something you learn which you didn't know before.
Sorry, we can't see your
I
screen.
promise you that. Eh?
We can't see your screen. Could you try and share again?
Oh, what did you do? Oh, what did I do?
See what you did not.
Okay. My fault. Okay, here we go. Here we go, share screen. I'm being selfish, huh? I'm sorry. Okay.
There you go.
Is that better?
Much better.
Except I can beam it like that.
That's okay.
Okay. So, you know, everybody can see that. We don't have the time to, you know, so there'll be some definitions which we've already worked on. Stages in networking, inventory of yourself. That is key. Because if you want to go networking, you need to understand who you are. What kind of personality are you? And now speaking to the youth make decisions, but are they based on, are they solution driven or are they problem driven? Because sometimes our youth and even us adults make decisions that have no critical thinking whatsoever. Networking is like an investment, a bank account. The more you put in, the more you can come out with. Then I'll also talk about networking effectiveness, you know, then the basic secrets of networking, the doctrine of reciprocity, you give, you take, the connection pyramid, the suspect, you know, this is a marketing thing, hash, you know that, suspect, prospect, advocate, and finally become a partner. And then we're going to talk about abundance mentality, that there is always more than you can eat. You know, have you been to a cocktail or some other function and you find somebody heaps so much food on the table, it can't work, you know? If you had a way of just taking a little bit and making sure, you know, because you can come back, that is what they call the abundance mentality. And it reflects in networking. You find something which it might not be useful for you, but you know somebody else who might benefit from it. share with them. That's abundance mentality. Then, of course, the keys, it's not that they haven't been thinking about, is want to keep it short and simple. That's how networking should be. Ask good questions. We're talking about open-ended questions. You know, when were you born? 1950. That's a closed question. But perhaps you'd say, why did you choose to be born on that day? And you say, I don't know, but I think we can ask mom. Those kind of a question which can excite discussion. Then there's impactful networking. And there's, I like this last bit, value others, but also value yourself. So I'll not be able to cover all those, but we'll go through what we can, and life should just become more and more exciting. Okay, so here we go. You know, most of you know me. The other day I was accused of not introducing myself. You can read that offline. Anything exciting there, you let me know. I've been a lot of places, but I'm not as old as Rachel thinks I am. So let's go to the next one. You've read that, so let's go to the next one, next slide. In case you think I didn't go to school, I've been to school a little bit, and so on. So that's, I don't think there's anything new there. Okay, let's get on with the good stuff. You know, when you think of networking, some of the people think of a spider. Okay, there it is, it's empty, but look at this now. This guy, he knows which part, where a fly has come in, what has done and that, and that's how networking should be, that you have this connection or this connectivity with so and so, and so and so, and so and so. And in the process, you find you benefit as well as you benefit the other people. Okay, those of you computer whiz kids, the same thing, networking, but slightly different, you know. And then this is real, this is how it should be. When you network, everybody's connected with everybody else. And I think it was Margaret, or was it Hash, who said, I think it was actually Esther, you said, you know, the 5 people, and the 6th person can be found. Okay, let's get on with it. What's networking? Let's see how this goes. Deliberately establishing and maintaining your new contact. Deliberately, that's the word. Establishing and maintaining new contacts beyond the people you already know. What are the benefits? It's the most effective marketing tool, because cold calling, which is also called vampire marketing, does not produce results as much as it should. Networking referrals will typically generate 80% more results than cold calling. The hypothesis, which I had already mentioned, anyone you might want to meet or contact in the world is only 5 or 6 people away from you. That is food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. What stages in networking you learn, okay, what are your needs? Especially the youth that we have around. What are your needs? What are the needs of others? It's always think of the other people as well. This is a family kind of arrangement. I know that I can't use this, but somebody else can use it. Help them. Then investing, making strong contacts with other people, nurturing deep relations, and keeping the momentum going on. Rachel talked about momentous and momentum and so on. So yeah, it spells link, and that is what networking is all about, linking other people. Okay, I had mentioned about taking inventory of yourself, and you ask yourself, am I a loner? I'll explain what that is. Am I a socializer? Am I a user, or am I a builder? Depending on, and this is something you can ask yourself actually, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not, you know, just ask yourself, maybe allow yourself 2 seconds to think which one of these is you, and maybe you can put on the chat. Which one do you think you are? Are you a loner? Are you a socializer? Are you a user? Are you a builder? Okay, let's just quickly go through each one. The loner, this one likes things by themselves. You know, they don't want to bother other people, only ask for help when they're desperate, too late sometimes. They believe in themselves more than they believe in others. That's the loner. Then the socializer tries to make a friend of everybody. You know, they tend to know people's names, but not what they do. Is not usually systematic or ordered about follow-up, may not listen well, and is quick to move on, may have a wide circle of friends and contacts, but doesn't know much about them. That is the socializer. Likes people, but also wants to be liked by others, and therefore does not want to ask favors. Ooh. Okay, let's see. What about the user? I hope none of us on this wall is a user, collects business cards without any real connection with people, superficial interactions, tries to make pitches on the, like you just meet somebody and say, hey, I'm selling a car. Can you, that kind of style, that is not what we would call networking. That is what they call vampire marketing. Maybe this is one of those things you didn't know before, but now you know what a vampire marketing process is. Talk and focus on agenda rather than gathering information. Keep scores when giving favors. Yeah, I helped you to get this job. You must help me to get another job. That's really not how it works. This type of network widely, but in a way that creates little benefit for themselves and for others. They are not useful to themselves. They are not useful to other people. If I benefit, I might help out. I might also let you. Now, what about the builder? He has a disposition. This is the person with, I would say, an abundance mentality, generally happy to ask others for help or guidance, listens and learns about people carefully, is regularly on the lookout for useful information from which others can benefit. Remember, on the lookout for information from which not just him or her can benefit, but others can benefit. He has a well-ordered and organized networking system. That is a builder. How many of us are builders? We are going to check that out. Anybody on the chat saying what they think they are? We'll see. Networking investing, it really, in just a short thing to say, to do every individual needs the right image, right attitude, and patience to build trust over a long period. Networking is about long-term investment. Invest time and money. Some people are shy. We naturally, when you start small, and again, don't go to those vampires. Go to special functions, functions where you can meet people and chat them up and so on. The trick in networking is to treat all meetings as an adventure. You also feel the thrill of the challenge and excitement in finding new people with whom you can connect. So there's excitement in that. Nurturing, this is the maintenance part. How do you sustain it? Beyond just exchanging cards or phone numbers, you want to be able to call. And research shows it's best if you call within the first 24 hours. Don't call after 2 weeks. Somebody will be saying, oh, why did you meet? They can't remember, you can't remember. Then you are wasting time explaining, oh yeah, we were at Grand Regency. So when I think there's an English saying that says, make hay while the sun shines. Even I think Rachel talked about that. Make a move now. If you wait for tomorrow, somebody else will take that chance. SK talked about it yesterday. When you make a decision, execute it. Keeping, okay, you have to be persistent and keep an effort to keep going despite objections. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. If we have time, I'll explain something about that. But those days when we were younger, we used to go to dances and you'd go ask somebody for a dance. They won't give it to you. I'm tired. And then next guy comes, asks her for a dance and she dances. Doesn't mean that your eyes are not blue. Good food for thought. Okay, effectiveness, again, the same story. Networking is built on a spirit of giving and sharing. I can't say that enough, okay? We are less likely to know how far or how deep the so-and-so skills are if you have not known them properly. If this is true of your knowledge of others, how much do they really know about you? So giving and taking, sharing. So when people are looking for an opportunity in Turkana, they're looking for somebody who can do welding. They know, yeah, if I go to AJ, I know he can do it or he knows somebody who can do it, okay? Basic secrets, become interested in anybody and everybody, share more about yourself than in the past, give away information. You need to be helpful. You have to be open for help. Mutual exchange of knowledge leads to connecting of network contacts. This in turn start offerings. There's support just around the corner. There's help. Don't say there's no help. No one will help you. People will help, particularly in Kenya. Kenyans are wonderful. You saw on TV the other day, the lady was cooking stones, and how many bales of unga came. So be out there and be weak enough to accept that you need help, and people step in. This is part of this project we have here is part of that. You need help, and we've come to try and help. It goes on, make it easy for people to be approachable. Don't stand there and hide like you don't want to meet anybody. Have a goal. Go into conversation aiming to learn about him or her. You must be genuinely interested. Initiate the first step. Ask a question. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What's your passion? Remember again, Rachel talked about passion, about interests. I would say interests are sort of not quite, it should be passion. You know, you're talking more about passion. Have a balanced conversation, you know, talk some, listen some. Don't over speak until somebody walks off, okay? Go fast, give something. Sometimes when you help somebody, when you assist somebody, they instinctively would want to reciprocate. That's how nature is. If you help somebody, again, we don't have time for details, but even when you help somebody to fix a tire, when yours blows, it's not the same person who will fix it, but God has a way of making sure there's somebody else who will come and fix that tire because they recognize that you are good to other people. Okay, avoid negativity in conversations. For example, you go to an event and you start saying, oh, this event is boring. It could be you who's boring, okay? You say the speaker is wasting my time. No, try and find the good in it. Keep your conversation short and meaningful. Okay, there are 3 networking bonds. This is a man called Isaac Kimwangi. I think he's a Kenyan, but he's somewhere in California. And they're saying there are 3 bonds in networking. The wish bond, state what you want. The jaw bond, ask with competency and humility. What does that mean? What do you know? What do you have? What can you offer? Okay? If you don't have money, you most obviously have a brain because God makes no junk. So there is something which you know or you can do to make a difference. And I call it sweat equity. You can write that down, sweat equity, where if you can't give money, you can give time, you can give some of your skills, and it's amongst the same thing. And then also ask with humility, the job on, you know, be willing to be the first to do that. Then the last one is the backbone, persist, persist, persist. In the Bible, they talk about this person who went to the neighbor to knock, so they needed something. I think they wanted ugali or they wanted chicken, but they needed something. Maybe they just got an abrupt visitor, you know, and they, you know, sometimes people knock the door once and say, oh, no one is home. Knock so persistently. You have to be persistent. This is not a game of, oh, I tried and it didn't work out. Try again and try again until you succeed. Then there's the other principle of reciprocity, giving information and being open for help, creating a cycle and keeping the network strong. And growth capability. Is your network growing? It should include more and more people. I showed you the schematic. The pyramid of connectivity in marketing, again, this is your area, you know, how somebody initially is a suspect, you think somebody can do business with you. Then as you conduct due diligence, you find, yes, there is a possibility of working with this person or transacting business, they become prospects. Then over time, as you get to win each other's trust, then they become advocates. They'll be saying, oh, you know, if you want to do banking, go to Maggie. If you want to do this, if you want to do mentoring, go to Esther. If you want to train properly, go to so-and-so. If you want to do demographics, go to Rachel. If you want, you know, so everybody has got something they can do. If you want to do numbers, go to Hash. And eventually we become partners. So somebody's looking out not just for themselves, but for others as well. Suspect is there, you know, are they good enough? You do what they call due diligence about those people before you meet them. 2 is a prospect. Initially, conversation may reveal that not all prospects have correct identity. Again, just something due diligence. Advocate, at this point, you've won each other's, let's say, trust. So somebody is actually speaking for you. In Kiswahili, wanasema ni mshenga. Somebody who would speak for you and say, no, if it's that, I know AJ can do this. If it's that, I know Kiari Macharia is the only young man in town I know who has got all those things, okay? Let's keep going. Then I partner. Now, at that point, you've won over and everything is okay. We are about to finish, so don't get impatient. Abundance mentality, I've talked about it before, is an attitude that there are more opportunities available than time or people to take advantage of them. I've left out the upper bit, which you can read for yourselves. Keep it simple and short. Don't bore people. You have to be prepared when you're going networking. Have information about yourself at fingertips. Somebody asks you, what do you do? They say, oh, myself. Somebody has asked you, Wafula, what do you do? You say, me? That's ridiculous. If they ask you, be nice enough to just say, I do this, I do this. I've been a matatu driver, I've been a laborer, I teach, and so on and so on. Be precise or concise. Be personable, be warm. Use engaging, friendly, warm words, interesting, that can generate further conversation. Build relationships, not card collection. There are people who have a whole bunch of cards, but that's not good enough. You need to be able to use those cards. Aim to create an impression with the prospects you meet and to present yourself in a spirit of warmth, openness, and cooperation. We are almost there. Ask good questions. We've talked about this, but we'll say it again. Many people are so busy telling other people what they do, what they want, what they're interested in, that they forget to listen to the other person properly, if at all they don't, okay? And I've already talked about the ratio of 2 ears and 1 mouth. God was not a fool to give you only 1 mouth. Either you're eating or you're speaking, but your ears should be on alert. A lot of us, we tend to speak more than we should. Like now I'm talking so much, but I have a limited time, so I can't help it. Okay? Impactful, okay? More about what you can offer than what you may get from meeting with other people. So there you are. Give first. It's you give, and then see how you build a relationship based on that. It's not always, oh, nataka, nipe, give, or take. It's not about take. It's about give. Build relationships by creating and leaving a highly positive, courteous, very important, courteous and professional impression. Those two are very critical, courteous and professional. Okay, so people don't start thinking you have other motives, you have other, other agenda, you're going to time some, this is really purely professional and business. Listen attentively to what they say to you. Develop listening skills. I've talked about in the previous slide, but I'll say it again. We really need to work as a country. We need to work on listening to other people. In this country, when you go somewhere, you want to say something, before you know, somebody says, oh, I know. What do they know? You haven't even spoken, But it's something we need to work on as a country, including myself, to be able to listen to somebody, even to the extent where you say, do I understand you to mean ABC? Paraphrasing, it's called paraphrasing. Do I understand you to mean, so that you are clear that when you are responding, you're not answering an irrelevant, giving an irrelevant answer. The last bit here is about valuing others and value yourself. Good networking is built on the foundation of valuing yourself and valuing others. Because again, I say, God makes no junk. Whoever you meet out there is God's creature. Whoever you see out there is actually a human being like yourself. If you check them, you'll find they have 2 ears, 1 mouth, and the rest. The morphology is the same. So what's the difference? Maybe the dress, what we are wearing, and so on. I put on this tie for this show, so in case it's very bright, bear with me. This means believing in working with and through people to achieve the best results. There are people who cannot delegate. You have to learn delegate. Trust and confidence are very key for that. It also means giving yourself without necessarily having a direct incentive to do so. I'm done. Esther, it's time for takeaways. I know I've had to rush this, but I actually ended up being the curtain raiser, so
we have not done enough. We clearly, you rushed through some extremely excellent points. I have not had enough of the pyramid of connectivity. Yes. You went through the wishbone, jawbone, backbone, all those bones. I think at one point you need to take us through them.
I was worried about the time, Esther.
I know, my dear, we should have.
And so I didn't want to, people and the ugali, it's a security issue. It's actually national security. If people don't eat, they could cause a war.
I hear you. However, I will allow people to ask a question, and I know there was a question right here.
Okay.
Where you talked about business cards. You know, some of us are collectors of business cards, and once again, I confess I'm a culprit. Luckily, I posted the question, and one very generous Kerry Macharia answered me by saying that I
What did Kerry say?
Kerry said I need to use the business cards info to look up the contacts on LinkedIn and connect digitally.
Yes.
That I thought was really good. So thank you, Kerry, for answering my question, because
and it has to be instantly. We said 24-hour turnaround. So people still remember, oh yeah, you're the one who was wearing a black shirt. Oh, you're the one who ate you serve yourself so much chicken. They'll remember you. But after a week, they'll not, especially if you are Baluya. Okay, go on. Another question?
So just to follow up on that one. So if I have cards that are as old as, I will not say how long. So should I ignore them and just assume that our paths will cross at one time in life?
That's one. I think it's a good way to look at it. But look, it's like again, I'll go back to dresses or one of these things. If you've not used a dress for 2 years, the chances are you didn't miss it, you didn't need it. So give it away. In the case of cards, don't burn them, but maybe put them somewhere in the archives. You never know. Maybe that person who you didn't think was important is now the MD of the company, you know, and you say, oh, I wish, oh, where's that card again? Well, you know, that kind of thing. So cards are important, but my advice is turnaround time 24 hours, maximum 48 hours. The time when people can still remember your face, they can remember your voice, they can even remember the issue you are talking about. Because people are busy, and this is business. So if you don't take the opportunity, somebody else will. So maybe regularly you can be looking at your cards and slowly just, you know, arrange them in a way. I think in what do you call it? In procurement, they talk about last in, first out, something like that. Okay. Wow. So that's how you should work on it.
Okay. Someone had asked you to say something. Yes. They said, David Masai said, please reclassify on partnership building.
Yes.
Say something about that.
Okay. It's a process. Actually, again, like I said, and please forgive me, all of you, I had every intention to unpack all those things. Okay, but it's a process of curation, you know, how initially somebody just a suspect, okay, David, somebody just a suspect. Then after, as you analyze, you conduct a due diligence, you feel, yes, it's possible you can do business with this person. They become a prospect, okay? Then as you build further confidence with each other, then they become your advocates. So they'll speak well for you even when you are not there, okay? Then finally, when now all the trust is in place and goodwill and you know, whatever it is, then you become partners. Somebody will say, I'll take that for David. I'm sure he'll like it. I'll take, you know, because there's no second guessing so and so. You know them so well, you know what they need, that you are willing to go out on a limb to help that person. You become partners. I don't know if that's clear.
That's clear. I want now to give an opportunity to anyone who wants to ask a question. I can see, Agevi, you have your hand up. Would you go ahead and ask a question to Nabutola?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, cool. I had a question around networking and what it's actually related to the topic. The two topics are related, so the question might take any shape depending on who wants to answer, either Rachel or Wafula. But thank you so much for sharing. First of all, let me appreciate that. So my question is, we all have this, varying opinions, and our values are intention always. Our values are always intention, whether from a religious point of view, whether from a professional point of view. We are always having these values that are, at intention. So my question is, as we network and as we form habits, because we form habits and then these habits form us. So as we do this, how can we, or how do we find that balance in terms of just holding to our inner core, our inner core, like ourselves, but also appreciating the fact that I need to respect the other person. So how do we do that? More so when you have all these varying opinions and values pulling in different directions, because at the end of the day, we need to network, we need to be ourselves at the same time. So how do we do that in the process?
Good question. I think Rachel can answer that. Rachel, please. It's a habit.
Okay. All right. I think to try and explain that, I think it's a part of values and networking. Yeah. It's like, how do you balance that? But I kind of think perhaps your values are what would guide your circles of networking, in the sense that just like it's been alluded to, you perhaps associate with people who are taking you places. So I'm imagining if your values then are inclined on a certain place and with particular intention, then I think you would loop into those networks. You would be careful about what are the values of the people who you are networking with. I think that would mean something. And Nabutola, you could add to that.
Yes, it's again just values, the idea that, and I think SK spoke to this yesterday. He talked about net worth and net something, So there's a correlation between how you relate with people and how they relate with you and how you can transact business. I know a friend who is in the US. He met somebody on Facebook, which I would call vampire meeting, but there it is. And within a short time, they became to trust each other. And this lady told him, I can buy a car for you, and I can, and you can make some money. And he quickly sent some money, and she bought the car. And then he told her, why don't you put it in your account? And he said, no. She said, no, you open a Kenyan account, which he did, and she deposited the money. So both sides were taking chances. And that's how it happens, that we as a nation, Kenyans we are known for being crafty, for being, what do you call it? There's a word for it, which I don't like to use. Cartels, those kind of things. But in the midst of this almost 50 million people, there are very many decent Kenyans, very many. People who respect themselves. Remember, I talked about respect yourself, and then respect the other person. We can speak offline, Clarence.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for the response.
Okay.
Any other question?
Waiting.
Someone else who has a question, kindly.
Seeing a lot of questions here.
Can I comment?
Yes,
I love this topic. Can I comment? I find that sometimes when we go to events, like, for example, if I came with Nabutola and we work together, or we are from the same place, you find that we tend to sit in the same table. So this one is a networking killer. So I would encourage that if I've gone in with Mukuhe, then please don't sit in the same table the whole night, the whole time. Really, really, as in you won't meet any other person other than the person you came with. Anyway, I love everything else. That you've said. It's a good topic.
Thank you, Maggie. I didn't say it, but it stands to reason. I mean, what's the benefit? In my definition, I said meeting people you didn't know before.
Yes.
So Maggie and I already know each other. It won't help for her and me sticking together and laughing off. This is not a laughing affair. This is business. You're looking to meet other people, people people go to networking events to make friendship, to make relationships that work for the benefit, for mutual benefit. So thank you very much, Amagi. I agree with you.
Yeah, and also I feel like for our youth, don't be scared to, you might see somebody, maybe Eunice Karaoke, CEO of some company, and you're just chickening out. Always go with an open mind. And I think Nabutola, you've even said it. Even if I sit with Nabutola and we came together, really, what's the point? What value have I added to this event? That's usually my concern. Even if I might not be so social, it's good that you can add value to somebody. You could be the network that this person, somebody else has been looking for, even if you yourself, you feel that you are enough, you don't need to interact with other people. So I think it's good. I love what you said, the sharing and the, you give, it's sharing, and you receive and give. So yeah, I can go on and on.
Biblical.
Yeah. So I think that aspect of intention, and also knowing why it is you're there, you have an end in mind to it. You just didn't go because I guess you'll have maybe your organizational goal, but you might also have your personal goal of why it is you're doing it, So I think it's just that being intentional and being there, if you're there, then just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Awesome. Thank you.
AJ, I can see you have a question. Could you go ahead and ask?
Yes. So first, I'd like to add to what Margaret said. And there's usually this strategy in war where you divide and conquer. So I think if you attend a networking event with someone, what you should aim to do is divide and conquer. You go get your networks, they go get their networks, and then you share the networks that you've made, because you'll make more networks than individually. And then my question is probably something that a lot of people my age are wondering. How do you network as an introvert?
Very good question.
A very good question.
I
would say,
wow.
I know.
It's not small. As an introvert, it's difficult to start, But remember, one of those the bonds. There was the last one was the backbone. Be persistent. Start small. Don't go to an event where President Kenyatta is going to give a lecture about Jubilee. You can't network there. Okay. You need to go to a small event and grow it. Grow your confidence. Grow confidence in yourself and in your ability to communicate. It takes time. Actually, networking is a lot. You need to put in something, and in the end, the investment will bear fruit. So AJ, it's not a one-night stand. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
We get
AJ, I don't know, Nabutola, if you allow me quickly.
Of course.
For me, how I was an introvert, I would go with Nabutola. I would start small, like Nabutola said it, but I would go with someone who is a bit social, like, some of us. I would start small, go with someone. Maybe next time you start opening up and, warming up. And next time you go with someone else, again, outgoing and extroverted, and then, if that makes you more comfortable, or a friend that you're comfortable with, just to add on what Nabutola has said.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm actually one of the people who used to be an introvert, and
really?
Now
you sound like the opposite.
Oh no, now I'm not, but I used to be.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking, given the time, I have also noted that some people probably had to drop off so that they can get their babies to sleep. I am wondering if we can choose to have networking 2, part 2, and habits 2 for our next Wednesday. But this time round, I know we are not allowed to do physical networking, but the beauty is that Zoom allows us to have breakout rooms. So maybe this is a challenge to Rachel and Nabutola. If you can think around what can people do in small groups, and we can agree on the side as the mentors, how we can create little forums for people to network so that the introverts in the house can speak. People can literally network even in this group, because I am very sure that we have very key contacts that we can make within this parlor, but we've not had an opportunity to network among ourselves. So I'm throwing that as a challenge to you, Nabutola and Rachel. Is that something that you'd like to pursue for next Wednesday, maybe?
We'll liaise with Rachel. We have a partnership MOU.
Yeah,
so we'll work
no
around
problem. Yeah, we can work around it, yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Looking forward to that. I think for purposes of time, unless someone in the parlor has a really, really burning question, maybe we can give people an opportunity, someone who really wants to say something. I know we have a visitor, but I think she's dropped out. There's someone I wanted to put on the carpet to say something, but I think she has dropped out.
Well, I'm seeing a former colleague, my colleague, a fellow, Mr. Abuga, you want to say something? Mr. Abuga is a senior building surveyor. Mr.
He's
Abuga.
muted. Mr. Abuga, you need to unmute. Maybe his microphone is muted.
Do it. Mr. Abuga, please. Okay, I guess next time. We are running out of time, and Ugali is getting cold.
Sawa. We also have CN. I don't think we have had CN before. CN, could you unmute yourself and give us some feedback, comment before we call it a day?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, good evening.
CN, this is her second time. It's not the first time. My name is Kathy Ngure. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Kathy. Karibu.
Asante sana. I think I'll just say it's been a good session. The one on networking I really liked. Somebody asked about how to network, about being an introvert, and I really got thinking, wow, that must be so hard for those who are introverts. Huh? And I think part of my answer I wanted to probably input I wanted to give on that is just to start small, and don't aim for meeting so many people in one go like the extroverts would do, because they're very comfortable with it. For the introvert, even if you just meet one or two people in a night or in a function, that'd be okay for you. And then the other thing I wanted to mention also, one person can be a network to so many others. You don't necessarily have to, it doesn't mean that the more you meet, the more networks you'll have. One person can be a network to very, very many others. And that will give you confidence for the next one, because the minute you feel you're doing well, naturally as human beings, we always want to make sure that the next time, it gives us motivation for the next time and we even do better. So that's my comment for the evening.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the sessions.
Thank you, CN. I would like to say, I've seen Kiari has recommended a book.
By the way,
sorry?
CN I was here as Kufua Laundromat the last time.
Karibu sa. I still need to come to your laundry. There, that's in Kileleshwa, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, when you open. Now, I was just saying, Kiari Macharia has recommended a book, and I want to recommend another one for introverts. It's called Never Eat Alone. It's a small book. It's called Never Eat. I was trying to look at the author, but I think if you just write Never Eat Alone, it probably will bring the author and so on. But it's for introverts and how they can conquer that space. And even being an introvert could also be an advantage, because people like to be able to domineer discussions. And if your motive is to go there and network, it's a good chance that you listen more than you speak.
Yeah, they're actually better listeners.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you all very, very much. Nabutola, I have no words to thank you. Rachel, always a pleasure listening to you and all the words of wisdom and quotes that you provide. It's just beautiful. Thank you both. And I think speaking on my own behalf and perhaps on behalf of the introverts in the group, I am making a humble request that we have part 2 of this session where we will allow us to network in practice and see how that goes. Thank you, Joyce, for sharing the book
Joyce.
you have put there. This is great.
Thank you, Joyce.
Please drag in more people next time and let's see how this goes. But thank you all very much. I will end this recording. We'll edit it. And as usual, we are now saving this into our YouTube page and we shall share the link. So hopefully you all have shared your email addresses and we will get in touch with you.